thought I finished 7, and then I looked at the scores. I was, oh, 9. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I played really solid. I think the back 9 I played, I kept it smooth, and the front 9 I was all over the place.
So I went to this stance during the off season and kind of played around, and one thing I noticed is it feels more fluid, like it's not so forced, and like my body kind of wants to move like this. And what I've noticed, I've gained a lot more distance on the putt. Like I can get to the basket from 20 meters without even jumping. So that's something that I really have gained.
I've made some pretty dumb mistakes today, throwing OB like not even close to landing in bounds. So if I just clean that up and keep hitting those 30-footers, I think I'll have a good chance to win the tournament.
You know, I think I had maybe 12 circle 1 looks, maybe 11 or 12, so I was throwing the disc really well, and you know that makes it a lot easier to score out here when you're giving yourself a lot of opportunities.
You know, a lot of the holes are open, so you're able to really kind of play lawn darts with either the fairway or the basket, and so I think it allows you to be, you know, have a lot more control, and with the, obviously with the wind, there's lots of different things can happen, and so I think you just have more control of your disc, and which allows you to be able to score, hit your landing zones a lot easier at a higher percentage, and you know, be able to make longer putts when it's not so windy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Emporia, Kansas for round 2 front 9 coverage of our MPO lead card here at the 2024 Dynamic Discs Open. I'm Jeremy Koling, joined by Paul Ulibarri. BigBarri commentary bringing the action on moving day, Saturday here at Champions Landing.
Yeah, we got a sweet card for you guys. Obviously, some people playing really good.
So, yeah.
Today, the winds are up a little bit compared to yesterday, and they flip-flop. So, a complete opposite direction. Ricky Wysocki doing it in all kinds of different ways. If you see 90s across the board, which he's pretty close to doing, you're doing something good. But 100% fairways hit, that's unbelievable.
I mean, inside C2 in regulation on almost every single hole. I mean, if you're putting for birdie on every hole, you don't even have to be putting that well, but he is putting well. So yeah, naturally he's leading the tournament. Calvin Heimburg always throws the disc well. He is 1 back at 10 under. Yeah, the card gets even better here with Anthony Barela, 3-time winner this season already on the Pro Tour. Really
100% circle too. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's
5 for 5.
That's mind-blowing, kind of.
Wow, that to get to 9 under as well. So Albert Tamm, it was amazing watching him really execute his game plan wonderfully yesterday, and some of the forehands he threw were just inspiring lines as we're flying over an early morning sunrise version of hole 1, 1,224 feet. Wide fairway. That being said, the hole has a little bit of teeth as you get closer to the green. You have the out of bounds here with that sidewalk there on the right and that little area there on the left, and the basket's just placed about 5 feet in front of a hill.
From Scottsdale, Arizona, sponsored by Dynamic Discs, Ricky Wysocki.
Ricky started yesterday with a bogey on this hole. Love to clean that up and take the birdie. That being said, this hole was actually playing nearly a quarter of a stroke over par in round 1.
Looks like a fantastic spot to land. You'd probably want to be farther to the left of the fairway. It just opens up another of the same shot that he just threw.
Florida, sponsored by Innova, Calvin Heimburg.
Now he might have to shape something from the lie that he's established.
Calvin maybe a little bit wider, but getting back to probably the same spot. Oh gosh, nearly hits Ricky's drive.
From Scottsdale, Arizona, sponsored by Discraft, Anthony Barela.
I love watching Anthony throw hole 1. at this course. Hold on to your hats, folks. This is going to get sent.
Oh, in the wrong direction.
Yeah, this is turned over big time right in front of Holly Finley's van, and it skips off the road. And Paul, it skips a second time and gets back in bounds, but he is going to be stymied by the Juniper.
Latitude 64, Albert Tamm.
But not before he gets 600 feet or so off the tee. That was absolutely nuclear.
Yeah, as long as he can just kind of even pitch it out sideways, he'll have a shot at the green.
Correct.
It's so far.
Albert taking all the guesswork out with going big hyzer, still getting nearly all the distance that you see right there with Ricky. And look at this, Paul. That should never have been close to going out of bounds. Just hitting an icy patch in the grass, huge skip right, and an unfortunate roll. I'm sure he couldn't believe the result there. Out of his hand, that was plenty wide. But we do have that left to right crosswind. As you see, Ricky's second shot fighting its hyzer against that wind.
Yeah, I could understand throwing the sidearm because you get all that space to the left, but with this wind, it's definitely way more dangerous than what these guys are doing.
Sure. I mean, and in any normal day, if he had thrown it maybe towards the middle of the fairway, I would have agreed with you, but that was so left, and it just really felt like a bad break to me. So Anthony's got a foot in the Juniper, and he's going to try to throw a forehand, and he's got to be careful with this left to right crosswind.
Looks like a thumber.
That's what I meant to say. And this is over in Hammond Park. It's off across the road, out of bounds.
This is a deceiving little lie right here.
Once again, that left to right crosswind really preventing the disc from moving as far left as he'd like. He'll have that putt for par somewhere in the deep circle 2 range. And Albert, a little bit more direct, very similar spot. And that's very well done from back there. He'll have that putt for the par.
Fantastic. Looked like he barely threw it like usual, but
That is his MO.
this might even be a little bit short. Yeah.
Very similar to what we saw yesterday with Presnell.
Yeah, it just dropped out of the sky. It's kind of an awkward shot being downhill as much as it is. You look at the number that you get, and you think there's no way it's that far. And then you end up taking some off because you don't believe it, and it really is that far.
Mm-hmm. Anthony trying to just zip it in there, and he's got a little bit extra cleanup to do here, and I'd hate to see another double bogey on hole 1. Ricky doesn't quite get the height right, or the nose angle. This putt to save the par, well done.
Putt to save the bogey, but being in bounds that far, like I said, all he would have had to do was just kind of pitch it sideways and have a shot into the green.
It seems like an unnecessary bogey to take, especially as the longest throwing guy on tour. You see a 1,224-foot par 5, and you're kind of licking your chops, especially with all the space that you have down this fairway, but definitely look to clean that up in the final round.
Check in with Gannon here on hole 2. Going with the wide sidearm, hanging out over the out of bounds, get one skip. Probably pretty good spot.
Yeah, look decent. Good width, good height. We've got Gavin Rathbun all the way off to the right side, going for the big spike hyzer play. And we'll see where that one landed. Okay, he's mid C2. And look at that putt.
What a little birdie to find.
That is a scramble birdie if I've ever seen one. And Gannon delivers his first birdie of the round. Both of these fellas wearing the flamingo shirts as we have the Mingos on hole 16, the awesome fans out there. I wonder if that was coordinated or just random, but pretty cool. Oh, there's Chris's approach shot, landing just short of C1. Allows him to do his jump that he likes.
Really likes it.
That's basically a layup for him. Just outside the circle. He'll take that over 28 feet any day.
Ezra birdie-less to this point. And leaves that one a little short. But you know why we show these.
Not an easy putt. Hole 5 has always been a very difficult green to putt on. But not for Ezra, not today. Gets his first birdie and he moves to 9 under. And we've got Mason Marchbanks on the tee of hole 6. Very talented disc golfer out of the Dallas, Texas area. And this is a bit wide on the right side. This will find mid C2. That will find mid basket. So Mason Marchbanks is a couple under through the first 6. How much more difficult were the conditions in round 2?
I think it just made the course play different. I think the conditions were pretty similar to round 1 with maybe a little higher gusts.
Mm-hmm.
But because of it flipping, I think it makes the course play a lot harder.
Can't really learn much, can you? From the day before. Well, we do have a Patreon disc winner from our practice round, and it is David Palmer. Congratulations. You will be winning the JomezPro Inc. Trespass that Ricky threw a few times. Said that he wanted to keep it for himself, but guess what, David? You get it.
Looks like Calvin going with the backhand low shot.
And I don't know if we can catch this, but it actually careens out of the tree to the left side and actually goes out of bounds.
Yuck.
Very yucky. That was right side of the tree and actually looked like a decent release. Really tough break there for Calvin. And he's going to be well short and out of bounds. So he is bogey free through the tournament thus far. You'll need to get up and down from a long ways to keep that intact. Meanwhile, Ricky and Albert both going with the safe forehands.
Plenty of distance off the tee, but they're still going to have a tricky upshot in. Maybe not Albert because he does that sidearm, and maybe Ricky as well.
Just absolutely hated it right out of his hand. But man, that must be one of the more overstable discs in his bag because that thing reacted incredibly well for him at the second half of its flight. How good is this, Paul?
He needs to slow down. It's so good.
That is not something you really account for. Going long on your approach from the bottom of the hill is triumphant. Really, you should get like a badge in a video game or something, like a medal.
Yeah.
That's the ultra rare. That's a good one.
Just inside the circle.
I mean, also you adding, for Calvin, low ceiling, uphill, 400 feet, and headwind.
But you're missing one very important thing. He did just go out of bounds, which kind of boosts the power up.
There's power up there too. Albert coming up just a bit short on the edge of the circle, just inside C1. And Ricky is just outside C1.
So we got a lot of tough putts.
Nothing easy. Yeah, no one's close.
I bet 2 of them make it. I'm going to guess.
Ricky not being one of those two. Never really had a chance. Whose is that?
Inside or outside?
Oh, is that the bullseye? That's where Ricky's putt spun to. Interesting.
Not Albert. Okay.
Calvin, after tying the lead on hole 1.
Well, you know, sometimes.
That took a really tough air bounce. With the tailwind, you just never really predict the air bounce.
Right.
But AB picks up 1 stroke on the card, and he'll pick up 2 on Calvin.
I should have never said anything. If they all would have missed.
It's okay. I had the all-time commentator jinx this morning on Andrew Marweed. Was he on your card?
Yeah.
On hole 1, I was just talking about how composed his putt is and how sometimes Ezra Robinson's putt's like a little bit more pacey. It's a little bit more aggressive appearing. And I was just talking about how good Andrew Marweed's delivery is and how his stance is always so poised. And he just donks the 20-footer on 1. And I was like, yeah, okay. That was an all-timer. And checking out Gavin Rathbun. He's in a 3 or 4-way tie at the top.
Hole 3, par 3, 466. It is downhill, but I feel like it plays 466, honestly.
If not more.
It's like the downhill adds distance to this one for some reason. Out of bounds left,
With
out
the
of bounds
headwind,
right. Yeah, out of bounds right behind it. And you have all kinds of little gaps. A lot of people, if you have the power, go for this sidearm play. And even with the most overstable disc, does he go deep? No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
That is so good into the headwind. That is so good. This hole plays like a mile into a headwind going downhill.
Yeah, I'm surprised that these guys aren't trying to flex one down the middle, but why when you can get this close? Well, I'll tell you why, because you're not going to get close by going wide today.
Ricky's 70 feet away.
Right.
We always see him in C1.
Yeah, huge right to left crosswind here, which is keeping him out there. This one has a better chance, but it's just so hard to get there. If you get the inside, I guess, I don't know. Help me out here. You're the sidearm guy.
I think oh boy, Calvin, I don't think he is aiming for the left side of that tree, but he finds the gap. And you know what? Maybe fortunate after the bad kick he just got on 2 to not get another big kick left. But if that does connect with the tree, it's going out of bounds. But instead, he just has that layup for the par. Yeah, I mean, getting this hole with the forehand today just requires elite distance, not just the person at your local club that can throw 450 forehand. You need to be able to reach 500, I think. You're just fighting so many forces.
There's no like manipulation of like angle to get it to fly a little bit farther, or is there something?
I think overstable forced anhyzer through the middle would be the way that I would approach this in this day. Anthony Barela, I'll look for the birdie, and unfortunately he's not able to get strokes on the card on 2 consecutive holes. Chains out left side. Now there were 2 players in the entire field who got the birdie on hole 3.
Really?
2 players in the entire field in round 2. I want to see if you can. One of them, I'll tell you, is Connor O'Reilly. Great forehand, but he may have gone back in. He's a good 2-way player. The other person is an elite distance forehand player. Can you guess who it might be?
Zach Nash.
Tristan Tanner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that seems like a Tristan hole for sure. Ezra trying to make it.
Oh, man. That looked so close to drawing metal. Now for back-to-back birdies. Good putt. That close to being the 3rd player in the field. Gavin Babcock joining the field of players at 11.
Throw A measured 66 miles per hour and 358 feet. Throw B, 69 miles per hour and 456 feet. Similar effort, yet 98 feet difference. But why? The answer is proper body mechanics and technique. And this is why the Power Disc Golf Academy has brought on Ezra Aderhold to be your distance coach. Ezra's lessons will help you identify and fix the problems in your swing so that you can add more distance to your throws this week. Stop landing short. Join today at PowerDGA.com.
Hole 4, 433 feet. Was the wind affecting this shot much with the tree line right next to the hole? Or was it a little bit of a reprieve?
No, it was, but it was tricky because when it's right to left, it's tough going down the middle, and it makes this wide hyzer really scary for these guys.
Yeah, because they could technically fall in that out of bounds green area. But Anthony's not worried about that at all.
But as you can see, in this little area right here, nothing. But off the tee, as you can see on the right, you see the little wind, so you don't really know what's going on. You don't know if you're going to lift or...
Well, Ricky's hoping that we can get a repeat from round 1. Well, if landing in the bullseye is what you mean by repeat, then he has repeated his effort. This is looking so good. Hitting that hillside, just funneling down to the basket.
These guys are pretty dang good at the side piece.
3 players, collective 30 feet away. And Calvin turns it over, misses the gap just a little bit. This is a shot we expect him to make. But like you said, with the wind, it makes it really difficult in today's conditions.
Well, it makes you have to really punch it through there. Instead of like working something from left to right, you're trying to punch it with the hyzer to get it to flip right away, and it causes you to pull it. I saw the same thing happen on my card.
With Chris Dickerson hit that same side that Calvin just hit.
I hate to say it, but I did the same thing.
We appreciate your vulnerability, Paul. Thank you for sharing.
It was almost identical to Calvin's because I went through the tree like him, and then it was like, oh, maybe it's going to get through. Clunk, the same thing. He clunked. Threw the putt up, same clunkiness as his clunk.
I just love that word. What is it about clunk that makes me so happy? I don't know.
Because it was me who were clunking around.
I saw a British guy call someone else a donut, and it's my new favorite British derogatory term.
A donut?
Yeah, you donut. Just, you clunky donut.
I love donuts.
Ricky Wysocki, 1 shot lead still over 5 other players. And Paul, you said this is one of your favorite holes in the course. Why is it one of your favorite holes in the course?
Well, it makes you think. I like holes that make you think. You can get really aggressive and try to get up here in this area with a great drive. And you can lay up shorter, but the shorter you lay up, the gaps get smaller. And then if you place it just right on the right side, you can go hyzer around everything, which is terrifying. And if you get too far to the left, you can go sidearm over everything. So I just think it's one of those holes that makes you...
Oh my goodness.
Think.
AB, does this come back in bounds?
What?
A horrible break there. If that just hits normal grass, he's safe. If he hits sidewalk, he's safe. But he hits that area between the sidewalk and the grass, and Anheuser pushes it back towards the out of bounds. Really
this needs to get down as
really
well.
Tough break.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yep, and that's the angle Ricky was searching for in round 1, right before he threw a very un-Ricky-like errant approach shot out of bounds. This also needs to get down.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And Albert will find out of bounds. But from a very easy to save the par approach angle. And he gets a lot of distance off the tee, too. And if you don't want to deal with left or right side out of bounds and get a lot of distance, you just do what Calvin does.
Ew.
And just blast it down the fairway 500 feet.
Oh, yeah.
I like this hole, too. There's 7 total trees on the hole, but each one has a prominent amount of branches and foliage in the way, and it really makes you respect them and play away from them.
Right. And we see Calvin get so far up the fairway, it makes it so easy. But mind you, AB was taking a lot off the tee as well, and look what happened to him. So there's a bunch of risk reward throwing a brilliant shot like that.
Ricky with a very nice lawn dart, as he would call it. Anthony looking to save the par, and he will.
A nice little touch shot from there. Tad bit of Anheuser. Never takes it out wide.
Overstable disc, fighting, using the wind to fight with you. And Calvin will have that short putt. Still a somewhat nervy putt. We've seen some weird things happen on this green in the past. You just feel really exposed on this green. Calvin does take care of business, though. It is weird seeing the basket koozie not really cover the entire pole. It just seems like somebody in soccer who wore their shin guards, but their socks were below the shin guards. It just always looked like a funny look to me. That is my editorial note. Off to Chris Dickerson, who plays the short layup tee shot on 7. Brittany Dickerson kind of looking like a soccer coach herself out there. As Chris's approach shot hits high limbs and kicks left sides, leaving him a 55-footer. Just as soft as you can possibly make it.
He's told me after he made this, he said, I gave up on that one halfway there.
I'd love to see it fall in.
Yeah.
On live, we did a zoom in on Brittany when that went in, and she gave the tiniest wry smile. And I said, that might be the most reaction I've ever seen out of Brittany. She's just so used to seeing him make putts like that over her years with his incredible career.
Well, you got to go into a real gettable par 3 here. 339 out of bounds on this left-hand side, and see how it curls around to make kind of a nice big circle for these guys. It's really just a stock hyzer. Throw it right side and try to skip it in. It does have that left to right crosswind, so it's tougher to get it to go left. And it is a tailwind, so it's playing shorter as well.
That looks really good from Rick, and just gets inside the circle. He'll have to earn it from 28 feet.
Oh, it's a putter, Jerm.
Okay.
So there's that.
Yep.
Which is why it was a little short.
Oh, Calvin pulls this one, kicks straight up, and still fights forward. A decent break. That could have gone in a number of different directions. Is this also a putter or is this a mid?
This looks like a zone-ish type.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Inside bullseye for AB. Great drive. And
same thing.
Same thing as Calvin's, but now look at this one. This is the other side of the coin. This one does go out of bounds. Calvin out here, and this is in C3.
Oh,
so close.
Sit.
Rude.
Well,
very close to going out of bounds.
Still a chance to save it here from Albert.
Yeah.
That was a good bid.
It was. Now Ricky just inside the circle to clean up the birdie.
Three in a row.
Calvin to clean up his par is good.
Albert's got a little left on his as well, all these guys. Ricky's was for birdie, of course.
And back into the headwind. Putter lifts just a bit. And on a hole that 60% of the field took birdie on, you just cannot walk away with a double bogey. It just hurts in so many ways. Hard to recover from that.
Yes. One thing to note on the tee pad of this hole before we go into hole 7 is it is on an upslope. So it's not a perfectly flat tee pad, and I think that gives a lot of people fits. Like it's on a pretty big incline.
Yeah, it's not great. Ricky with a 2-shot lead over Gavin, 3 over the card. And take a look at that branch there. That really is the classic obstacle here on the tee shot on 7 with the low ceiling. And they've added this out of bounds area at the bottom of the hill. You've got to cover at least 420 feet to be safely inbounds on the backside of that ditch. From there, it's just up this little hill to an elevated basket. But this new fake lake area really making players make a decision off the tee. We know what decision Ricky goes with.
I mean, he throws it perfect every time, but I just don't know what would happen if he hit the branch.
I don't know either.
Yeah, that thing could go anywhere because he's throwing it to almost circle 3.
That is such an insanely laser drive. I mean, that is just so far. And AB, this has got a... Oh, goodness. What a break that was. I don't think that had any chance of staying in bounds. I mean, you break the hole. You absolutely break a hole when you see drives this far.
I love it, though. This is the same as that other hole. Like, if you got it that far and you want to do it, by all means,
bring it on.
Yeah, and give them a nice little reward of 100 feet in.
Totally agree. Not the greatest safe shot for Albert. Yesterday he played this shot, got the birdie. Today he is not in a good spot. This will be incredibly challenging to save, well, to get a birdie, but oh no, get back in bounds.
Brutal.
Oh boy.
Bad reaction off the tree.
Yeah.
AB with a perfect layup on accident.
And that could have gone out of bounds in so many different places. That could have gone in the fake lake. That would have gone over the cart path if it didn't hit the tree branch. Instead, it stayed safe. Second shot, not really that good, but he's got a putt for birdie.
Oh, and this one leaking a little. Oh, no.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, but...
I got those two whiskers mixed up there.
Back-to-back holes, he has had putts for bogey from 20 to 25 feet.
Like, these guys are getting the easiest birdies of all time. But like I said, imagine once it goes bad. Like, they're going to get punished. Oh, my gosh.
That hit the top of the cage. We're going to see that again from the backside here. Do you not remember just a few days ago during our practice round, Ricky, on this hole specifically, I asked Ricky if he ever tries running shots like this, and he says, no, I never do that. In 2 consecutive days, he almost throws it in for eagle. Not sure if he's lying to us or if it's unintentional, but either way, he has given the basket a run on consecutive rounds. But fortunately, he is able to make the putt.
4 in a row.
Yeah.
You need to get them. You know, it was like a lot like Northwood Park. Get your birdies early because going into 8 and 9, there's a couple bogeys waiting for you. 8, totally birdieable once your drive's inbounds.
8's a hole that you can reasonably see an eagle or a triple bogey on.
Yeah.
I like that 8 has so much scoring separation potential, yet it's a pretty decently wide fairway.
Yeah.
But it can be brutal. And
very
if you're
easy.
going into a headwind, it's going to be very brutal.
Very easy to play hole 8 for a par.
Oh,
and
100%.
And we'll show you how to do that here in 1 second.
Yeah, well, if you want to play for par, I think the play is just to go to this tree here, which anyone in the world that plays disc golf can do. And from there, you should be able to find your way somewhere around the top of this hill. But if you are wanting to go for the birdie, then you're going to want to get somewhat down this downslope so that way the ceiling that this tree provides isn't a nuisance as you're trying to make your way up here for the birdie look. Out of bounds, obviously, in the left side with the water. You got the sidewalk on the right side. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, this is a dangerous play right here. Going sidearm. Today it is a left to right wind.
And look at this, Paul. In the out of bounds high grass,
wow,
hops back to the right.
This needs a lot of help.
And watch out. We got 2 hot geese in the fairway.
Oh, no.
And almost honk honk, but instead it goes out of bounds. At first glance, I thought it hit Madison Walker, but instead it doesn't hit anyone and just goes out of bounds.
So AB just playing it short. I'm guessing because he has that elite distance with the sidearm, he's wanting to get after it.
Look at those 2 geese are just waddling their way through the fairway. And there are approximately 687 ways that you can throw a 210-foot shot if you're Anthony Barela, but he chose the vertical spike hyzer. Kind of fun.
Very fun. Not going anywhere, but bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
So one good shot right here.
Yep.
And he's got himself a par.
And I think one good shot is what he's gotten himself, plus about 30%. Like a good shot would have been short of that by about 60 feet.
Yeah.
That was a very well thrown second or third shot for Calvin.
I like the line on this. It needs to get down, though.
So just the ease of throw. Again, so impressive there for Albert. Anthony going with that really overstable disc. We saw him throw on 2.
Oh, no. If he misses that, he'll be okay.
And he does not miss that. And he is no longer okay. It's out of bounds early. And Ricky just starting it off with hyzer, making sure not to make the mistake that he just saw from Anthony. So now Anthony going with very high-speed disc. And Paul, I don't understand what we're seeing right now. Going up the hill, you've got to make sure you're going overstable. And that green nuke is not overstable.
Has been in the past.
It maybe has been in the past, but into the headwind.
Not anymore. He's never trusting that one again, and he doesn't have to worry about it.
He didn't have to worry about trusting it because no one's ever going to see that disc again. You can bring a whole crew of scuba divers. That thing is not
awful.
getting found.
That was just an absolute shank job.
And he's making a mess of hole 8 right now. Meanwhile, Ricky goes for one of the highest skips ever thrown for a disc that was released 4 feet high. Maybe even less. Meanwhile, Calvin's out here trying to save par from the early out of bounds stroke. And he's got a good shot at it.
That should tell him I could just lay up short and get the birdie. If I was Calvin now, that's what I'd be thinking. Even though that second shot
Mental
that he
note
threw,
taken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that second shot he threw was absolutely, like you said, just unworldly.
Mm-hmm.
Would be a good one to get.
Yep. What we didn't show in Calvin's shot selection was he actually was lining up a forehand for a good bit before he decided to go with the backhand. And this has been a tough stretch for Albert. Needed that birdie there to just claw back a little bit. Will not find it.
Should note that it's a bit chilly here and there as well. Like you're going to see people taking off the overcoat, putting it back on. You see Albert with a long sleeve, AB with a long sleeve. I noticed myself doing it. It was when the sun came out, blistering hot. When the sun went behind the clouds, it was freezing.
It's the same exact note that Terry Miller was saying is felt like it was in the mid 70s when the sun was out and felt like it was in the low 60s when the cloud cover was present. Par putt in for Albert as it is for Wysocki and Calvin. Hole 8, playing a quarter of a stroke over par, and you can see why right there. Ezra Robinson on hole 9. The commitment through gaps is admirable. Fantastic drive. Sets him up for an opportunity to go for the aggressive turnover play. Ooh, a lot to like here, Paul.
Yeah, and it wasn't really that aggressive. You know, it was like kind of a low turning shot. I was never worried.
This putt outside the circle to bounce back after the bogey on 8. And that's more than a bounce back birdie. That plays nearly like an eagle, as hole 9 is playing, what, 0.7 over par.
Ooh.
That is a Brad versus the Bruiser type hole if I've ever seen one. And look at this shot here from Gannon Burr on 10, finding an alternative gap up high through the trees and just spikes it into the bullseye.
They're laughing about it too.
Maybe just outside bullseye, but same result. A lot of green on the scorecard for Gannon today in these challenging conditions. Gavin Babcock out there shooting up the leaderboard. He is currently tied for second place at 12.
Yeah, you said it, Jerm. 9. Oof. Par 4, 729, out of bounds on the whole left side, whole right side. If you don't clear the ditch, you get to go to the drop zone.
You get to take an instant bogey or double.
If you land in bounds, you might be able to par. If you don't, you're taking a bogey for the most part. You really want to make the mistake to the left side of the fairway.
If you're going to go out of bounds, go out of bounds there.
And the wind was just flipping and flopping down and up this fairway. We didn't know what was going on. Ricky going with the putter. I like this play.
I love the play. You take in really big number out of the equation by doing that.
Totally.
That being said, you're not guaranteed a par from there. You still have a lot of work to do. And Calvin, what a break. I mean, through the left side, low trees.
He's got a shot at the birdie if he wants it.
And well, that's where you want to be. You want to be on the left side by the cart path, or do what Albert did yesterday. This time he's unable to repeat the magic from that highlight drive.
Still a great looking tee shot. It just pushed to the left.
An opportunity to save the par over there.
This is what I was seeing a lot of people do, just turning it over right out the hand.
And that will be an automatic advance to the drop zone. I have seen 2 players in the history of my time here save the par from the drop zone.
This ain't going to be it.
This is not going to be it. This is just going to helicopter straight down over the gallery, out of bounds. And now Anthony Barela has thrown 4 OB shots in the last 2 holes.
At that point, you need to put a Band-Aid on it.
You might need more than a Band-Aid. You might need a cast.
He's got the firepower for it. Calvin is going for the bird.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dear goodness.
Yeah. That's a 10 out of 10.
Oh, man.
That's a 10 out of 10.
He shouldn't have got that birdie. But we always say it on here.
That's what champions do.
They take advantage of the good breaks.
Absolutely. Albert, this is a really tough spot to go for the forehand. But if you like Calvin's shot, you're going to like this one too.
Oh, man. So good.
Both just in their own right, phenomenal approaches. Saving par for Albert is awesome with the out-of-bounds stroke. And Ricky's got some work left to do to save his par. Just a conservative approach up to the top of the hill. It still leaves you a tough approach into the green. AB absolutely needs to get up and down to save the double. And he will go 4 over par in the last 2 holes, finishing up the front 9. And meanwhile, Ricky, he is going to take the bogey after the safe tee shot, and he's going to lose a stroke to Albert, and he's potentially could lose 2 strokes to Calvin.
Oh, and that one's just can get you.
On the stripe.
It can get you, though, when you watch your competitor. You play the right play, competitor goes through the shul on the left, gets in a perfect position, then throws 10 out of 10.
A dart.
And then makes the putt as you...
I got to give a couple of shout outs. I feel like we saw 2 of the 5 birdies, but I want to give a shout out to Gavin Babcock, Bruce Escabel, and Luke Taylor. That made up all of the 5 birdies on hole 9, and that just, it feels nearly Eagle-esque in these conditions.
You're not lying. I mean, just to put it in bounds on that hole was playing so tough. Like, stepping up to that hole, I didn't think there was a shot I had in my bag to where because he would throw up the green flag.
That hole can be so brutal, and right now, Anthony Barela, the hottest player in the world, is showing us maybe some of the things that we saw from him in prior years when the power and the focus maybe got a little loose, and he's got to turn things around right now if he wants to get back into the hunt. He's finished in the top 10 at every single event this season on the Pro Tour and Majors, and that's in danger right now with the 4 over par he's taken in the last 2 holes.
Thank you to the Founders Club, as always.
Samuel Sargent, still the first name we see, 96 in a row. Thank you so much. You're the best. As well as you, Stephen Harkless. We see you too.
And AJ Hunter.
Well, that's going to wrap it up. We're halfway through the event. Back 9, round 2 coming right up.